Hi friends, when I was in the US, one thing I can't forget was going to a hospital there in LA, and I guess there was a strong Jewish influence there because they have what you call a Sabbath elevator. You know what a Sabbath elevator is? It's related, of course, to Sabbath. And the Jews are not supposed to do work on Sabbath. So, what is a Sabbath elevator? They cannot even push the floor that they want to go to in the elevator. So what does a Sabbath elevator do? If you enter a Sabbath elevator, it will stop at every floor so that it will spare you from working. But I could not see the consistency. If they're going to the hospital, they're also working. But I don't know. Maybe working as a doctor is, exempted. And this is one example no, of the law becoming a burden. And another example is we are more familiar with is when you go to confession and instead of finding God's love inside the confessional box, you feel that the priest is cross-examining you. Ano mga sala mo? Pila ka beses? Mga ganun ba? Very, you feel you're like an interrog- in, interrogation room. Sorry, interrogation room. No. You're like the enemy of God. So these are examples of the law becoming like a burden. And obviously the reason that the law becomes a burden is because love has been separated from the law. And that's why we always have to remember we cannot separate the law from love. And that is why God gave us the law in the first place, because of His love for us. Remember, God wants us to live life to the full, to get the most out of life. It's only one life. So how do we get the most out of it? Not only in this world, but in the world to come. But we are in this world. So again, how to get the most out of life? And that is how God shows His loving care. Because God cannot be with us physically, He gives us these laws to guide us, to help us live life to the full. And the problem comes when we have separated the law from the person of God. And that's also a measure of how much we love God, right? The more you love God, the more you will follow His laws. The more you do not love God, the more you will disobey His laws. But remember, God put those laws there because He wants us to be happy. He wants us to live life to the full. So notice when we are with our parents, it's not easy to say no to them because we love them. And the same, if we remember that these laws are from God, these laws were given to us by God to protect us, to help us fulfill our lives, then it is easier for us to do. But I did not say we will not slip, we will not fall, di ba? We are only human. But at least our motivations are more purified. And it's easier to try to do because nga of our love for God. This relationship, it's all about, in other words, relationships. And again, we say we love God, but we cannot love God if we do not love our neighbor. So these laws will not be a burden to us if we do not separate them from our love for God. And as seminarians and as future priests and as priests, again, also, if we separate the law from the person of God, we will be imposing burdens on the people. Let me give you an example. There was this Jesuit who visited a community in Manila last year. And he, well, it's like this. I'm trying to be careful with the wording, but it was not, well, okay, it's like this. He wanted to borrow a vehicle from the community in Manila. There are many communities in Manila, Jesuit communities. This Jesuit, of course, is from Mindanao. So he wanted to borrow a vehicle from one of the communities. And the one in charge of the vehicles, of course, another Jesuit, would not lend the vehicle. He said, so the one from Mindanao asked, why not? Because you're not a member of this community. And then the one from Mindanao said, but am I not your brother Jesuit? I'm sorry, you're not a member of this community. So what happened here? If we separate the law from the person of God, we make things difficult for others. Maybe this Jesuit in Manila does not love this Jesuit from Mindanao. Maybe if he loved this Jesuit from Mindanao, he would be more hospitable, more caring, no? But that's the same, no? That's the problem. He was just focused on the house policy. And that's why for all of us here, no, especially as we prepare for our confessional exams, that's one of the things we emphasize, no? That for people to go to confession is already a sign of their sorrow for their sins, their desire to want them, for them to want to return to the Lord. And it's a gentle reminder to us as priests and as future priests that let us not make it difficult for them. Of course, you call a spade a spade. Sala, sala. Okay. But as I said, we know that when we deal with God, He deals with us on a case-to-case basis, and He takes into consideration our context, no? Our weaknesses, our limitations, our histories, where we are coming from. Aside from, of course, getting the context of how the sin came about, how did it happen, all those things. So, again, a reminder that we cannot separate the law from love. And as I said earlier, God uses the law to take care of us. And He ultimately fulfills that taking care of us by sending us His only begotten Son. Because His only begotten Son is the law personified. And that's why in our gospel reading today, Jesus says, do not think I came to take away the law, but I came to perfect it. And rest assured, my dear sisters and brothers, this perfecting of the law is not to make life more difficult for us. That's not what Jesus meant. But to help us fulfill it more humanely, more passionately, and to show God's love even more. So that is the purpose of Jesus saying that I did not come to take away the law, but to perfect it. In other words, to help us, again, perfect our motivations, our desire, the reason why we want to fulfill these laws, and how will we interpret it? How will we apply it in our lives? So in our Mass today, my dear friends, we remember that again, our relationship is not with the law. The law is only a means to help us love God and our neighbor. Our relationship is with God. Our relationship is with one another. The law is only there to facilitate it. Let us not confuse priorities. That's why Jesus said, the law, no, the Sabbath was created. What's that? How do you say it again? Sabbath was created for the law. No, Sabbath was created for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore, it's the same. The law was created for man and woman to help them live life to the full, and not man and woman created for the law. That the law makes life a burden for man and woman. The law was created to help man and woman live life to the full.